Bulavinak and a good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here this morning, and very much appreciate the invitation to share in your celebrations. One of the wonderful advantages that we have as Fijians is that we have the opportunity to be able to celebrate so many different occasions, whether it is Diwali, whether it is Fiji Independence Day, Constitution Day, Christmas, whether it's Eid, whether it's all the other festivals that we celebrate. In that sense, Fiji is very unique in the Pacific. I think the market, all markets around Fiji really captures what we call the cosmopolitan nature of our country. Everybody from all walks of life comes to the market. People come to the market to buy vegetables, come to the market to buy kai koso, people come to buy lumi, people come to buy tapioca, bhaji, bhindi, bora, coconuts, whatever the case is. You'll have officers, you have people working in the docks, everybody congregates. So it is really a melting pot. And we recognize that. This is why markets are very, very important to us. We also recognize that a lot of women work in markets. This is why throughout Fiji, as you know, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, we've set up sleeping areas. A lot of women come from rural areas, deep rural areas. Some come from the maritime areas. And they actually, provide their goods, their produce, their products. And sometimes, of course, in the past, they've had to live or sleep on the streets, which we don't like, which we don't want. People need to live with dignity. And this is why we want to provide what we call safe spaces. So overall, the market, as you know, provides really also the pulse of the nation. And I want to acknowledge what the speaker earlier on said in respect of how we exempted market fees. Market fees obviously are critically important. We have the chair of the administrators of Suva here. They will tell you that it does cost a lot of money to run the markets. It costs money to, for example, clean the markets. They have staff whose salaries they have to pay. And that's a cost that everybody has to bear. But when COVID hit, we realized that the burden of paying for many of these costs could not be borne by the population. When you have lockdowns, when you have bubbles being created, where people could not bring their produce from the rural areas, it meant that there was less money in their pocket. It meant there was less business. So this is why, as you know, we had the one round of $90, we had 2 rounds of $50, and then the famous 360, which a lot of people, of course, applied for, and a lot of people benefited from that. It was not done as a gift. It was not done because we just woke up one morning because we decided to do it. It was done because we thought about it, and we knew that a lot of people are facing hardship. So it is a responsibility of every government to be able to provide that type of assistance, in particular when we had what we call a 1-in-100-year event. Nobody expected, for example, that in the 21st century that the borders of all the countries will shut down. Nobody expected that the planes would stop flying. So as a result of that, we had over 100,000 Fijians who lost their jobs. We had a lot of people, for example, who were self-employed, who in fact no longer had an income. The lady who makes handicraft at the hotel and sells it to the tourists, because there's no longer any tourists, she can no longer make any handicraft to sell it to anybody. So she also did not have a source of income. People who used to sell goods in the markets could no longer do it if the market was shut down or they could not travel. So they needed assistance. Similarly, we looked at various other aspects of day-to-day living. As you know, education, of course, is free. You don't have to pay for school fees. You don't have to pay for bus fares. You don't have to pay for textbooks. But there were other expenses to be able to earn a living. And we have always had policies that target people who have low income. And so as a result of that, we said that market vendors' fees will need to be paid, but the market vendors won't pay it, will pay on behalf of the market vendors to the municipal council. Because the municipal council still needs the money. They need the money to clean the market. They need the money to pay for the staff. So your market fees, it's calculated, every single market vendor's fees is calculated, and that exact amount of money that you would have paid, we pay to the municipal councils throughout Fiji. So they have the money, you don't pay, government pays, we make a budgetary allocation for that. Similarly, for example, we've done it for people who drive taxis, who drive carriers, PSV drivers, whose license are about to get, expire, and they have to renew the license. So we say we'll pay for that. If you're a fisherman, you want to renew your license, we pay for the license renewal fees. In this small way, we are helping people to continue to earn a living, because we must ensure that people have the ability to earn a living. And that's precisely what we have done. So we do not see it as a big deal. We see it as something that's necessary, because it's the government's responsibility to provide all the necessary and the right environment to help those who are trying to earn a living. And that's precisely what we've done. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this opportunity to thank your association for the invitation. I was told at the entrance that you have 4 associations. We've seen many different groups that have many organizations. I would urge you one thing, please. Try and speak with one voice. Because when you are united, all of you are selling goods here in the market, when you are united, you are much stronger. When you are united, you are able to think long term. When you are united, you are able to ask for the right things. If you have different groups, you'll always be splintered. So you need to remain focused. There's a lot of potential. We of course had a number of plans for the markets around Fiji, and which we will of course reveal later on in the some months' time, and as to how we can make our markets a lot more modern, have better facilities. Some markets of course in Fiji don't have as good conditions as you do have here. Some need more improvement, some need more work to be done on that. And overall we are seeing the markets as an area where there's a lot of potential to gain more income, potential for you to also gain income. We have also seen, which I'm sure you know about this, a lot of people nowadays don't want to travel long distances to come to the market. So you'll have the Flagstaff people wanting to go to the market in Flagstaff. You'll have the people living in Rewanga, Rewai wanting to go to the market over there. Different areas have different market locations now. This arrangement we have, if you look at Fiji throughout, during the colonial days, the British, they set up the bus stand and they have the market next to it. So everybody catches the bus in one place and goes to the market there. And that's the model that's been carried out for the past number of decades, over 80, 90, 100 years. It's changing now. Today, 70% of the population is below the age of 40. 65% of the population is below the age of 35. Younger people think differently. They have different priorities. A lot more people work now. In some households, the husband and wife both work. Some may work on a Saturday. They may not have the time to come to the market on Saturday. They'd rather go to the market nearby. So all of you are business people. All market vendors are business people. So as business people, whether it's a small business or large business, you always need to think about how do you best make profit and how do you best serve your client. So if you all get united behind one organization, you'll be able to then talk better to your municipal council. They'll be able to hear you better, and in that way you can of course have a much better plan and better future. So ladies and gentlemen, I do not intend to make a long speech. There's obviously a lot can be said, but I wish you all a very happy Fiji Day. We just recently had the Constitution Day. This year the official celebrations will be held in Churchill Park in Lautoka, but of course we'll be celebrating Fiji Day throughout Fiji. And then of course we've got Diwali. Diwali of course is highly significant from a religious perspective for all our Hindu brothers and sisters, but as we know, overall as a country we all celebrate Diwali. Whether we shoot the firecracker or whether we eat the barfi, we all participate in it. And it's of course, the mythology around it, the story around it. Diwali is about, the fight of good over evil and how eventually good always triumphs over evil. So if we take that spirit, we all come together as a nation, we of course will have a much brighter future. As the earlier lady had mentioned, COVID was there. Now, over 94% of the Fijian adult population is vaccinated. We now have the cruise ships coming in. Our economy is projected to grow by more than 12%, which is the highest ever. So there's a lot of positivity around. And with you being united, with you being more future focused, we'll obviously have a much brighter future ahead, not just for yourselves, but also for our children and our children's children. Vinaka Vakalevu, and I wish you a very good morning. Vinaka.